Hey guys, welcome back to Ace Recaps. Today I'm going to be explaining a 2022 sci-fi horror film titled Megan. The movie starts off as we watch Katie in the car along with her parents, headed up a mountain for a ski vacation. The road ahead is unclear due to the unexpected snowfall, causing the car to crash into an oncoming truck. At the headquarters of Funky, a toy manufacturing company, Gemma is seen testing her new prototype robot. Cole walks in with the final piece, her face, and slides it onto the robot's skull. As they are testing the functionality of the robot, the CEO of the company, David, walks into the room, demanding the team to show him what they have built. Gemma spent $100,000 of company funds without the permission of the board to build the prototype. David asks to have a look at Project Megan, and upon starting it up, it malfunctions. Cole realizes he forgot to install the cooling device, causing the head of the robot to explode. David gets upset and asks them to scrap the project and develop an ordinary fur toy to underprice their competitors. Gemma soon gets a call from the hospital and heads there immediately. Her niece Katie has luckily survived the accident, but her sister and her husband passed away. A few days go by, and once Katie recovers her consciousness, Gemma drives her back home. As she gets out the luggage, the neighbor's dog scares Katie and runs back through the hole in the fence. Gemma warns her neighbor to take care of her dog or else. Katie gets settled into her new home, but she doesn't share a very strong bond with her aunt. That night, she puts her to bed by reading her a bedtime story but soon overhears the little girl crying in her room. The next morning, Gemma calls up her associate Tess and requests a few more days off to deal with the situation at home. A woman from Child Protective Services comes to check up on Katie. She watches the aunt and niece interact and informs them that she'll be paying them a few more visits until she can officially hand in her report to the court. That evening, Gemma asks Katie if she can finish off an assignment and whether she can keep herself busy with an iPad for a while. As Gemma works on the new design of her fur toy, Katie walks in and shows her own designs. They bond over a robot named Bruce that Gemma built when she was in college. Bruce mimics whatever the controller does with the gloves, and Katie is astonished by the invention. She claims that she'd never need another toy if she had Bruce. This gives Gemma an idea. She scraps her current project and with the help of Cole and Tess, spends the entire week building Megan back up in the garage. The CEO of the company, David, is brought into a room with a double-sided mirror for a demonstration of what they've built. Gemma brings in Katie and has her pair with Megan as her primary user. The two of them start interacting with each other, and nobody can really tell that Megan is a robot. Her speech and movement are flawless, just like a real friend. Megan paints her a picture, and on dropping a glass of water, it turns out she's drawn Katie. David is astonished by the new invention. He is shocked whether what he saw was even real, and on confirming it with Gemma, decides to get down the board of directors within a week to discuss the future of the company. Since she's paired with Katie, she'll have to be trained with her to troubleshoot any problems they might face. As the robot gets home, it scans the entire house, including the electrical appliances. She is sculpted from a titanium core, which is why she can withstand whatever life throws at her. Katie shows her all her toys, and they both bond together very well. The robot is designed to constantly self-improve itself through real-life interactions and can help kids with specific learning differences. It helps kids learn with science, and we can see Megan remind Katie to use a coaster and explain to her how it can ruin furniture. She also reminds her to flush the toilet and wash her hands. Megan is an excellent listener and even has a few stories of her own. The both of them are seen dancing and learning together, and at the end of the day, Megan recharges in Katie's room. While Tess claims that letting kids play with Megan might cause them to lose their bond with their child, the topic of Katie's parents comes up. Even though Megan is switched off, she overhears them and asks the humans about death. Gemma tries to shut her down, but she continues to scour the net for Katie's parents. She questions Gemma if she will ever die, at which point everyone in the room freaks out, and Gemma manages to turn her off. The next morning, Megan watches over Katie as she plays in the yard. She loses one of her bows and asks Megan to look for it. She spots it in the neighbor's yard, and as she goes to pick it up, the dog attacks her. Katie rushes over to help her out but gets bitten in the process. Hearing her scream, Gemma warns her neighbor to get rid of the dog. That night, Gemma complains to the police, but they aren't able to do anything about it. As Megan looks at Katie's arm, she decides to do something about it herself. In the neighbor's voice, she calls out to the dog and throws down a treat. When the dog picks it up, it is snatched away. The next morning, Gemma is awakened by her neighbor looking for her dog. She goes up to Katie and checks with her if she's ready for the grand presentation. At the office, the board of directors are given a seat. When Megan walks into the room, she notices that Katie is sad. When she asks about it, Katie cries about losing her parents and that she's afraid of forgetting her mom. Megan records her favorite memory of her mom, promising to store it forever, cheering up Katie. Everyone is seen giving a standing ovation and decide to back up the project. Gemma is even promoted with a salary hike. That evening, as the three go out for a snack, Katie seems to be very attached to Megan. Even though Gemma tries to talk to her, Katie just lashes out. When the woman from Child Protective Services examines Katie and Megan, she suggests that after a child loses a parent, they will look to form a bond with the next person. Ordinarily it would be the caregiver, but here it seems to be Megan, which might lead to dependency and will not let Katie grow as a human being. Later that day, Gemma suggests Katie join a school to help her social skills, but she lashes out at her again. Looking at this, Megan demands Gemma to let her go. Not having any other option, Gemma takes the two to an outdoor school the next day. Katie refuses to go in without her buddy, so Gemma agrees to leave her at the toy table. The kids are paired together to fetch toys from the forest. Katie is paired with a bully, and the both of them go out into the forest while Megan looks at them from afar. The bully hurts Katie by pricking her hand, and out of nowhere Megan shows up there. As he tries to get the doll to speak, he snatches her away and bolts off. Gemma hears their screams and sees Megan missing. The boy takes her deep into the forest and starts stripping it down. Megan suddenly wakes up and pulls on the kid's ear until it rips off. She chases him like an animal until he rolls down the hill and onto the road. The poor kid gets hit by a car while Megan watches from a distance. Back at home, Gemma tries to explain to Katie that mistakes do happen in life and that the kid is in a better place now. Just then, the police knock on the door. The neighbor thinks that Gemma had something to do with the disappearance of her dog and warns her to reveal the truth. That night, as the neighbor walks around the house looking for her dog, she hears barks coming from her barn. When she goes to check it out, Megan comes out from the dark and assaults her with a pressure washer. She nails her hands to the ground and finally pumps her face with acid. The next morning, the cops show up at Gemma's door once again. They are suspicious about the fact that she was at both the places where homicides took place, making her wonder. That night, as Megan is recharging, Gemma checks on her recorded video files and GPS locations, but all the files seem to be corrupt. She is surprised at Megan's presence in the room. The doll starts to threaten her, and Gemma tries to shut her down, but it doesn't work. As she gets closer, Gemma tricks her with a pen and switches her off. She is wrapped in bubble wrap and put in the trunk of her car. As she drives to her office, Katie starts having another one of her fits. She wants Megan to be with her, but Gemma tries to make her understand that she's broken. Back at the office, everyone starts to panic since the grand launch is supposed to be happening that night. As the preparations go on, Gemma asks her team to look into the code to see if anything has been changed. As the woman from Child Protective Services tries to talk to Katie, she is seen crying and picks up a scissor. Gemma tries to intervene but gets slapped in the process. She finally sits her down and has a deep conversation with her regarding her parents and calms her down. David seems to be upset that the launch will not be taking place, but Gemma knows that it's for the best until they figure out a solution to the homicidal robot. She calls up Tess from the car and tells her to delay the launch, and she agrees. But we soon realize that Tess wasn't even using her phone, Megan was. As they check through her code, Tess realizes that there was a call from her phone through Megan, but the computer shuts off. They realize Megan is doing this since she's still connected to the system. As Cole takes out all the plugs, Megan strangles him and leaves him hanging. Tess manages to free him on time, but Megan uses the gas tank to cause an explosion. As David walks through the halls of the building, Megan finds him and starts dancing. He is confused, but the girl comes forward and pulls out a machete. He tries to run away, and just as he gets into the elevator, he gets stabbed. She also kills his assistant in an attempt to frame him for the murder. She then walks out of the building and gets into a McLaren. As Gemma puts Katie to sleep, she realizes something is off. The lights in her house don't turn on, and she hears piano playing in her living room. As she goes to check it out, she spots Megan. The robot starts questioning her as to why she threw her away even though she spent every night for years getting to know and programming her. When Gemma questions her about the murder, Megan starts choking her too. Hearing the screams, Katie walks to the door, but the both of them tell her to go back to her room. Gemma uses this opportunity to splash water onto its face and flees the room. Hearing the commotion, Katie panics, and the short-circuiting robot follows Gemma into the garage. As she gets closer, Gemma uses a saw to tear its head open, but her hair gets jammed in its teeth. Megan, with a deranged face, comes closer to finally end her creator. Katie suddenly interrupts them and begs her to stop. Megan tries to convince Katie to spend the rest of her life with her, at which point, Katie uses Bruce to throw her around the room. After smashing the robot around, she finally rips her apart and throws the body aside. The upper body of Megan crawls and gets a hold of Katie. Just as she's about to end the poor girl, Gemma steps in with a hammer and smashes her head to bits and stabs its processor with a screwdriver, finally ending the wrath of the evil robot. As they leave the house, Katie and Tess, along with the police, show up and take them to safety. The movie ends as we watch another invention inside the house light up. That's all, folks. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.